A preview of Town Council, and then we head to Sandy Neck on this first day of summer episode of Barnstable Today. It's Wednesday, June 20th, 2012. I'm Sarah Colvin. Town Council President Fred Chirigotis, Vice President Jan Barton, and Town Manager Tom Lynch held the Town Council press conference this week. Chirigotis says the budget will take up the bulk of the meeting.
As we can see, we have we're working on the operating budget, so we have a very full evening. I could go through each item and we could discuss them in depth, or we can wait until Thursday and go through them all. But I can tell you we'll be starting with regulatory services, community services, the town council budget, the town manager budget, administrative services, employee benefits and insurance, debt service, libraries, other grants, assessments, transfers, and on and on.
Aside from wrapping up the fiscal 13 operating budget, Council has several other items to discuss.
Appropriation transfer of $329,000 for Stewart's Creek inflow improvement project. I like outflow better, but that's fine. I guess the water goes both ways. And then we have new business. Accept a $5,000 grant for the purchase of pedestrian and bicycle and/or moped type enforcement and equipment. Accept a $15,460 gift from the Friends of the Council on Aging to the Senior Services Division to help fund the lobby restoration project. Transfer the care, custody, control, and management of the former Osterville Bay school fields for open space and recreation. We have some appointments to get through. Amend the general ordinance for regulatory agreements districts map. A transfer of $28,000 from the police department personnel budget to the operating budget to purchase gasoline, although the price is dropping, maybe we'll save some money. Transfer $16,000 from the town council personnel budget to the police department to purchase radar speed signs. My street's not a bad one to be on. And amend the general ordinance for schedule of fees and fines for boats. We may vote to go into executive session to approve executive session minutes of May the 10th, 2012. Those things have to be reviewed, discussed, and voted. And we may vote to go into executive session to approve executive session minutes of the June 7th executive session, which was contract negotiations with Town Manager Tom.
On Monday, Town Manager Tom Lynch served his first day in that role, no longer acting or interim. This means he can finally hire an assistant town manager. As Tom explains, the internal posting for that job went up this week.
Posted effective yesterday, and it's 5 business days that will remain posted, and then I'll see who applies internally, and then there'll be interviews of those candidates, and then if I'm unable to make a selection at that point in time, I would put it out to a further search.
Lynch expects to have a candidate named by July 12th. Tom Lynch has also served for years as Barnstable's representative to the County Assembly of Delegates. Now that he is town manager, he can no longer serve in that role, and that position should soon be filled.
Speaking of processes, there is the process of the filling of the assembly seat, and I have submitted my resignation. It was effective June 14th. Tomorrow I will go over just to say goodbye to my former colleagues, and then by June 25th we expect that the town clerk will be notified that there is a vacancy, and they will hope to fill that vacancy within 21 days.
The council was asked about a recent request from the Attorney General's office regarding executive session minutes from a meeting held last summer. The request is asking for more complete documentation from one particular meeting. President Chirigotis explains what's happening.
That was when that executive session occurred, I think that a number of people were startled at the idea that a small committee had actually asked the person taking the minutes to leave the room, and that's contained within the minutes. So the question is to find members of that committee who exist and to try to reconstruct exactly what occurred. Since then, I can tell you that we changed what we do in executive session. So not only do we keep minutes, but we record the meeting. So, and I think that was a dramatically good improvement from the council. But in the past, minutes that were required were only, at least the rule as we understood them, was simple: who attended, what the issues were discussed, and then what the votes were. Since then, the law has been reinterpreted or changed slightly so that the Attorney General is looking for a much more detailed account of what occurs in executive session because the public is not present. So what the council does now is we not only keep minutes, but we record them so that once the minutes are released, then there's a full recording of what occurred in that session. And so what happens now is we have to be able to go back and try to reconstruct what occurred. And as you know, 2 of the members that were on that committee are no longer councilors, so we'll deal with the councilors that we have.
Town Attorney Ruth Weil says a subcommittee meeting has been scheduled on that topic for Thursday to continue work reconstructing those meeting minutes. And now we head to Sandy Neck, where 4 diamondback terrapins were put back in the wild Tuesday night. A very large crowd gathered at the gatehouse Tuesday and walked down the marsh path to see Natural Resource Officer Amy Rado help the turtles start a brand new life in the waters of Sandy Neck.
Does anyone have any questions before we go out?
I do.
Okay. What's your question?
These turtles are adorable.
That's a statement. What a good statement. They are adorable. Turtles that we were releasing today are part of our Diamondback Terrapin Head Start program. We are permitted by the state to collect nests that are in bad locations that may be destroyed by vehicles, and either raise those nests in the sand here at Sandy Neck or incubate them at our office on Finley's Lane. And then we take those terrapins and raise them for about a month and figure out sort of who's healthy and who's not, and the ones that are, we think, healthy enough go out to schools that will continue to feed them throughout the winter until they're released. The 4 that we had today were actually what we would call our runts. 3 of them were not eating right off the bat and were sort of starving themselves, and so we had put them on a special dried shrimp diet until they were able to start eating pellets. And we were very lucky in that all 4 of them are now, right around the same size that all of the other schools we had raising them were released at. So they were, ultimately getting a second lease on life. So we haven't been radio collaring them or tagging them as of yet, but to see maybe how they do through their first year, if we continue on with the program, we might try to do something like that, but the radio collars run about $1,800 a piece, so it is kind of costly. We're hoping that because this program's been going on informally for decades, and because we see an increased number of nests every year, that is a good indicator that we're sort of enhancing the natural population through this head starting. The director of Marine Environmental Affairs, Dan Horan, had said to me, how is the public involved with these releases? And I said, well, they're not, because you can't just invite anyone to a function where you have kids from classrooms and the places, organizations that have been devoting their time and their volunteers to raising these. It's sort of their special time to release the things that they've been raising, but we figured since we have these 4 at the office that we've been caring for, that it would be a great way to sort of involve the public in what we've been doing and sort of introduce the head starting idea to everyone.
With Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Colvin.